Hey, Scott Schrader here from On3 and WeAreSC.com and back for another rant. Uh, we kind of came on briefly yesterday, just talking about the Bronny James. I think it was only on Twitter. The significance of the Bronny James commitment to USC and the impact that it will have throughout the athletic programs and the university just in general from a fan perspective. And probably should just end it there. I mean, this is something that recruits are noticing, and it's a big deal to them, whether they're basketball or football players. I had said yesterday, I was on my way to John Wayne Airport yesterday after attending an under the radar their camp called the Straight Ballers Camp. It's a bunch of eighth graders, a few seventh graders are sprinkled in there, but nowadays in my business, you have to know who these eighth graders are. I mean, we don't have to be asking them what schools they're interested in and get down to like the recruiting nuts and bolts and whatnot. Some of them do have offers, so don't get me wrong. It's not like it would be irrelevant, but you go out there and see who they are and just kind of develop a relationship with these guys at an earlier age. And so it was actually a great day at Cathedral High School yesterday. I had to leave early. I didn't get to see the linemen and whatnot at this camp, but I was going to be heading to Columbus, Ohio yesterday afternoon after this under the radar Straight Ballers Camp. So I was on my way to John Wayne Airport from Cathedral High School in Los Angeles, right by downtown LA. And I got a text from Deuce Robinson's father, Dominic Robinson. And by the way, Dominic Robinson played for Bobby Bowden at Florida State, played in the NFL, dual sport athlete, Southern California guy. And now, obviously, he lives in Arizona, and his kid Deuce was one of the top prospects in the country this past recruiting cycle, and USC signed him. So he's also a big-time baseball player, as well as coming in as a an elite wide receiver to USC. So I went to go watch him play baseball. I love baseball. I mean, I love high school, college, professional. I'm an Angels fan, so it's like a lot more fun watching high school and college than watching the Angels. Typically, they are 4 games over 500, I believe. But so midway to John Wayne Airport, I decided to cancel my flight and go watch Deuce play baseball, which I did. And after the doubleheader at La Paz Park in Laguna Niguel, the first thing Deuce said, first of all, to his father was, let's go watch the Laker game. I think the Laker game was already like 1/4 into it when the doubleheader baseball game ended yesterday in Laguna Niguel. And then what he said to me is Bronny James. And, there was Tre'Quon Fegans from the University of Alabama, transfer, was taking his official visit to USC, and I know it was a big deal to him. And just a bunch of these recruits around the country took notice of Bronny James committing to USC. It's not a small deal. It's a big deal too from a fan perspective. There's going to be more people in the stands at the Galen Center this upcoming season, collectively on average, than we've seen in quite a few years. That's just a reality of what's happening. Bronny James is LeBron James's son, and that what comes with that is a lot of attention. Now, whether you think Bronny James is a 4-star or a 5-star or whatever you think the type of caliber player he is, it's a big deal, this commitment to USC. Big deal for Andy Enfield. So we kind of went on our first rant yesterday for about 3 minutes or something like that. And so I just kind of carried it over to today, which leads me to Tre'Quon Fegans, the Alabama transfer, safety transfer. He's coming in to play safety at USC. There's going to be a lot of questions on what role is he going to play in the USC defense. And Tre'Quon told me today that he will be playing safety at USC. So yesterday, I had learned that he had, Lincoln Riley put up the bat signal. And so I had found out through various sources that he had committed to USC. And so that's when I learned that it was a big deal, the Bronny James. Not a big deal as far as impacting whether he was going to commit to USC or not. It's just I just knew that it was a big deal. So the official visit for Tre'Quon Fegans ended today, and he committed to USC. I had just actually gotten to Deuce Robinson's baseball game today at Mission Viejo High School, and shortly after that is when Tre'Quon announced. And when the bat signal went up, and then there was a bat signal put up by Sua Cravens and a bat signal put up by all the people at USC, and Damani Jackson got into the fun. And so, just to be safe, you can never be too safe anymore. You can't assume that bat signal was for Tre'Quon Fegans. I mean, I kind of assumed it was, but I had to double check. And so I had found out it was, and from one of the sources, he said, and there's going to be another one. So that's when I found out that Anquon Fegans was going to be also announcing his commitment to USC today. So we got a photo edit ready. I had hit up Marshall Levinson, who has been a great addition to our staff at wearesc.com, just like I did yesterday. I said, you got to get a story ready for Tre'Quon. You got to get a photo edit ready, because I was at this baseball game just with my iPhone and just was not really in a position to do this. Now, in years past, I would have bounced and I would have left, and I would have made sure that we took care of covering the Fegans brothers, announcements. Back to, I told him you got to get Anquon Fegans ready, and Marshall crushed that like he has with everything else. And so it was a big day. The excitement level was screaming hot. And Anquon Fegans is a class of 2025. So it was a big news item that he announced his commitment to USC. But class of 2025, that's an eternity. I don't want to be a wet blanket here, but nobody knows what's going to happen. It's a big deal that he committed to USC. Big deal. And there's nothing that indicates he's not going to end up at USC. So let's just stop with that right there. What else is a byproduct of Bronny James, Tre'Quon Fegans, and Anquon Fegans announcing their commitments to the Trojans? Was these other recruits have been hitting me up, and it kind of seems like, it's hard not to notice everything that's going on. It kind of gives a lot, not that Lincoln Riley needed any more credibility for his football program. He's one of the elite football coaches in the country. There's a handful of guys that could have come in and did what he did. At most, they were coaching at the collegiate level anyway. But there's been some question marks on defense, but they just keep adding guys. It started with the offseason prior to spring practices in March. There was a group that came in January, including Anthony Lucas and Jack Sullivan and Kyan Bars and guys like that are on the defensive line. Jamil Muhammad. We should also make sure I should be mentioning everybody, but just stick to kind of the defensive line. We'll kind of cherry pick who we're going to talk about. But then you had Bear Alexander, and he announces his commitment. Now you have Tre'Quon Fegans, and it's just the defense has been transformed significantly in a big way on the positive side. From a personnel standpoint, this offseason, it's just the USC defensive roster looks nothing like what it looked like last year. So it's just the momentum is really loud right now and strong. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because a few weeks down the road we're going to have official visits. They're still lining up official visits with a lot of guys. I think there's about 21 or so that Walter Matthews from a tight end he's our latest addition to the visitor list. And then there's going to be quite a few more that we'll be adding to it. But June will be a big month, and I would anticipate that there will be several commitments in June, because these guys, you can't wait to lock up your spot anymore, because programs like USC and others will just go to the transfer portal. USC is not going to settle for plan C, D, E, or F like they did in years past. So just kind of a big difference in the feel of everything that's going on at USC collectively. And where my rant is going to lead with that is Brandon Sosna, Mike Bone, athletic director, adds Brandon Sosna as the I can't remember, chief of staff of the football program. It was his baby. USC football was Brandon Sosna's baby. Those guys have done more in the time they've been here. Brandon Sosna did more in 2 years than most people at USC had done in decade plus. I mean, it was exceptionally impressive what Mike Bone and Brandon Sosna did for the athletic department. And for all the people that were wondering why they weren't making a coaching change prior to Clay Helton's final year in 2021, it's because they had to fix what was wrong with the athletic department. You had to have the foundation. So this is kind of an unintended part of my rant today, but it's a long-winded way of saying that USC fans continue to have a lot to be excited about right now. And there's just really no end in sight to what's going to happen as we lead up to fall camp in August. I would guess that we'll have double-digit commitments by the time fall camp rolls around. Guys are going to lock in their spots. Guys are going to come out, and a lot of the guys that are coming out for their official visits have visited USC one or more times already. So they're coming in to this is like the final, I essentially it's the final exam. I don't know how else to put it. And they come in and they feel good about USC after this official visit. And many will. That'll be it. They'll announce their commitment. Now, there'll be some that won't. They still have some visits to take and whatnot. But another part of today that was really, really cool is, and it happened, it triggered some thinking on my part when I was with Deuce Robinson's father, Dominic, yesterday, and he had talked about how significant the in-home visit in late January it was with Lincoln Riley. He flat out said this today. It was not going to be USC before the in-home visit with Lincoln Riley. They just hit a grand slam. The analogy that was used was that USC was down 3-0 in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Lincoln Riley came into their house. All of a sudden the bases were loaded and he hits a walk-off grand slam. And Deuce is always really cool to talk to because Deuce just kind of gets to the point. There's no long-winded rant like I always have. He's just like, Lincoln Riley was clutch. So that's how Deuce put it today. But we're going to have something at WeAreSC. We're going to have some details on why that in-home visit with Lincoln Riley was so impactful and so vital. And Walker Lyons, his mother told me the same story, that Lincoln Riley's in-home visit pushed USC over the top over Georgia. So I'll be honest with you. I wasn't sure how important these in-home visits were anymore. And I found out that they can be extremely important. So that is the rant for today. My 4-minute intended video is now at 13 minutes and 40 seconds. And we're going to end it with that. But we will be putting out a bunch of content at WeAreSC this week that you guys will want to see. It's $29.99 to join for a year right now. That's 12 cents a day. You for all you out there that are oftentimes wondering what's real and what's fake and trying to confirm stuff that you're reading on social media, because social media is a cluster. You know what? You just show up at wearesc.com every day and you're going to find out. You will become an instant USC insider at wearesc.com. We've got Eric McKinney and Mark Culkin and Greg Katz and Chris Arledge crushing it on the football end. Myself, Marshall Levinson, Peyton McMain, and we've got others that will help out the entire On3 network. The recruiting end, I think that's where you will find that we will separate ourselves from a lot of the other online publications, is with our recruiting information.